Welcome to Brand Relevance by Baaghil. Brand relevance is about two important journey. It's about being also distinguished. Distinguished does not mean that it's only tangible. It's also distinguished ideas that are delivered through experiences, whether if it's in retail, whether it's in FMCGs. But it's very important that we see that the journey goes through the employee's course at the same time as customer course, and also how employees contribute to make the customer feel great about this journey. I'm taking you to a different journey today, a journey that has been disrupted by technology, the travel journey, and how old hotels with great heritage stand in this competitive arena. And what happened after Airbnb appeared with their technology? How did they disrupt it? And how old heritage hotels are contributing to this change? Have they modernized themselves? And where do they stand? And what are the values they're delivering? I'm taking to an exquisite, personalized service of a journey that is with one most reputable hotel.
Your room key, sir.
Thank you so much. How long have you been working here?
I have been working here like 1.5 years, sir.
Are you happy?
I am.
And do you get a lot of training here?
Yes, sir.
Always or?
Always, sir.
Always, huh?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So how did the market evolve? And how did technology change the luxury category of hotels? And this is what we're going to cover today. Today, we're going to cover something that is very important to a lot, and how the heritage of brands within the luxury hotels have changed. Is it really what's relevant? The art, the interior, or the fixtures? Actually, no. The personal relationship, the personalized relationship that you receive in every visit to a hotel, your favorite hotel, makes all the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, and that's what Ritz Carlton is. Ritz Carlton still holds within its own essence those three words that have made Ritz Carlton become luxury. Well, there's a complete modernization in terms of hotels in the market today and how the market has disrupted, and the evolution with technology and brands like Airbnb coming along. Yet heritage hotels such as Ritz Carlton has waken up to understand that the segment needs to be addressed, and that's the Y generation. They recently modernized the concept of their hotels. It's no longer uniform. So if you go to San Francisco, or if you go to Hong Kong, or you come to Istanbul, where I am today, you'll find that Ritz Carlton has the authenticity in the local sense. And that's what makes it more relevant today. So when you think about travelers today from around the world, it's no longer on how prestigious things are. No, it's about the local culture, the authenticity, the actual journey. And that's what Airbnb did in the beginning. And that's why they had tremendous amount of exposure and a tremendous success, because they provided the localization. And what Ritz Carlton did, they championed that using the luxury experience. Yet, the personalization in Ritz Carlton makes all the difference on how the brand becomes relevant. And that's what made the brand relevant, because the personalization within, ladies and gentlemen, is embedded inside the experience. Now, how the market changed and how the modernization happened. In 2015, Ritz Carlton revisited their whole entire business strategy. And up to 2020, they believed that modernization needs to focus a lot on authenticity of the brand itself in the local sense. The local sense makes the brand more relevant to travelers coming from abroad, and the purpose of travelers going from different cities, whether they're going to Paris, whether they're going to Hong Kong, whether they're going to San Francisco, it's not about just a hotel, it's about what the local has to offer. What is the local experience and how that contributes? Now, most of us think about brands in a different way. Most of us think about arts, well, most of us think about interior design. As far as interior design is very important as look and feel, and how that inspires us, but also the experience is far more important too. With interior design and the perception that exists around it, without the actual experience, that is two worlds apart. So all needs to be united in one journey. There has to be complete unification, and how that brand becomes relevant and the value proposed, how it becomes connected to the target segment. And today for hotels, from the past, from the heritage, today they're focusing a lot on the Y generation, the millennials. These are the growing population. We're going to speak to a few stakeholders, such as the general manager and a few others, to understand how is Ritz Carlton relevant, and how does this Ritz Carlton stand in the middle of this competitive arena with technology taking over our lives, and how we actually travel, and how we book our tickets, and how we make our hotel reservations. So how does that affect Ritz Carlton, and how did Ritz Carlton evolve? Just a simple question that I would like to ask a few of the stakeholders, such as how is Ritz Carlton relevant today? And what is the journey that they're offering, and what makes them different? Well, we talk about relevance all the time on brand. Even heritage brand needs to become relevant to address the new segment. I have with me Mr. Nicholas. He's the general manager of Ritz Carlton Istanbul. Mr. Nicholas, what in this changing world, the dynamic of the markets and technology playing an important role, how does Ritz Carlton maintain the luxury side of it that we've all known for a very long time?
Well, Ritz Carlton has, in the last few years, taken a turn in order to be more relevant and more contemporary, both in the design of the hotels, but as well in the approach we have to the customers. The needs of the customers vary and change very quickly nowadays with the technology mostly. So we had to adapt, and in the last few years, like I said, there was a very nice curve taken by Ritz Carlton in order to adapt to those changes in our societies in general.
Since 2015, you've gone into the modernization side of Ritz Carlton, where authenticity and local sense became very important. In each of the hotel locations, they're taking their individuality. But I've also noticed that you've still maintained that ladies and gentlemen. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Absolutely. This is a part of our DNA, if I may say so. When the hotel company was founded, that was the main motto, and that's the way we live by. Now we can still remain ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen in a modern world and in an upgraded technology manner. Eventually, our customers have changed a lot over the years. Back then, the traditional, maybe limousine service with very high-profile clients coming. Yes. Nowadays, people walk in the lobby with jeans, shorts, and might be maybe as much or even more important than the ones we used to get coming with the Rolls Royce or the limo. So you don't really necessarily see the grooming of people, the way they present themselves, as an external sign of wealth.
Yes.
And wealth nowadays is not necessarily monetary either, right? So you have a lot of people that are very important, Instagrammers, for example, YouTubers, that are rich in terms of experience you can have. So, I mean, the whole process has been looked in a different way in order to adapt and to precisely extend every courtesy and level of service that we want to do to any of our customers.
Perfect. So if I may add, if we're addressing the Y generation, the millennial, that segment, so their sort of culture has influenced the current change within the Ritz Carlton. Am I right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people talk about this new Y generation and Z and all that. I think, I want to see it in a certain way where, we evaluate with our time. I mean, I used to send postcards when I was a kid, to my parents when I was traveling or whatever.
Yes.
Nowadays, you go to Facebook, right? Yes. The means have changed, but actually the fundamental behind it is still the same.
Yes.
So I think, nowadays the younger generation want to think faster, better, quicker, because they have the technology for them. when I was their age, I probably wanted the same. I just couldn't have it because it was not available.
Exactly.
But having said that, I was reading an article this morning that we have an internal newsletter within Ritz Carlton and Marriott Group in general.
Yes.
We are launching today, actually, the first 2 hotels in China with face recognition checking.
Awesome.
So it's only a pilot, but we're getting there. And towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, we will have not only mobile checking that we already have, but you will be able to open the doors of your room with a telephone. So we are there. The technology is all ready. We just need to implement it. So I think it's fantastic, these things, where in different aspects, a long time ago, you would have an evolution of technology, and by the time it comes available to every person, common people, if I may say so, would take years, decades. Nowadays, it happens, and a few years later, boom, you have it in technology. I think that's fantastic.
The dining experience changed completely at the Ritz Carlton. The Ritz Carlton was always known for the fine dining, but right now, since the target audience or the segment they're addressing are the Y generation, who are more casual settled, more into the easier way of life and not the formal way of life, Ritz Carlton's trying to focus more of that evolution. It's trying to create attributes towards that sort of segment where things are more eased rather than the 3 hours dining form. I've spoken to the general manager on how much this evolution has taken place. And he says the company has drastically moved in making sure that the whole entire experience, from room all the way to dining, is apparent to the Y generation, the millennials. How much revolution has gone through the dining experience? Now that we talk about the Y generation, the millennials, and how did these heritage restaurants like Ritz Carlton and others have evolved to address these things? Now it's very important for us to look focused. How did the dining experience change? We spoke earlier to the general manager where you addressed that things have changed within the culture itself, within the experience. Now here, I'm going to talk to the chef in a bit. And we're going to talk about why this cuisine is relevant to the Y generation. People don't like to dine for 3-4 hours anymore. It's quick and run. So how's that going to be within the Ritz Carlton experience? Ritz Carlton's repositioning of authenticity and local sense also apply in the dining experience. Now we've seen from farm to table in many places that we traveled. We've seen them in main streets. But the thought that it applies inside a hotel, such as Ritz Carlton, is a new form of experience, actually an evolution to the old classical fine dining. I have the chef with me that's going to explain to us what sort of contribution is there. Chef Palper, what do you grow in this garden that you have outside? I mean, this is the first time I hear a hotel property has its own garden outside.
We have a small garden next to our hotel building. So we grow our tomatoes and different kind of herbs, which we marinate our fish, chicken, and the meats. We grown 4 different kind of tomatoes, and in the menu we are serving that tomato salad.
The idea of farm to table, I never thought personally that it would reach hotels. I've seen them in New York, Hong Kong, everywhere. But the point that Ritz Carlton itself adapted the farm to table and having their farms within the premises, that is considered an evolution. That actually builds the brand to be more relevant with the segment they're addressing today. The segment that is again lenient, the segment that is casual in dining. Yes, it applies to a lot of the luxury in it, which is luxury not by material, not by just an interior or fixture, or even the cutleries, is luxury through the experience, the social, the individuality, the treatment, the relationship. And that is exactly what the experience is supposed to be if you want your brand to be relevant. So having that concept from farm to table inside a hotel, it was my first time. The local sense comes from the art, which gives you the feel. The experience needs to be consistent. The experience needs to be focused. Focused to deliver a journey. Focused to deliver the values. And focus enough, then the promise becomes a reality. Relevance is not about just being different. It's also about logic and how you apply this logic across. Everything in life evolves, and brands do evolve to become relevant. Here comes the end of our journey today. I would like to take this opportunity and thank Ritz Carlton Global, Ritz Carlton Istanbul, for allowing us to film on their premises. Change is constant. Ritz Carlton found out that change must be addressed to address the new generation, the Y generation, the millennials, which technology has played a very important role in their lives. So Ritz Carlton moved and evolved. Till then, thank you very much.